Welcome back, everyone, to Rudy's Rant. This is our reaction edition where we talk about what other people are saying and we react to what they have to say. So, what are we reacting to tonight? We are reacting to a clip from First Take today, the day after the WNBA Game 5, where the New York Liberty were gifted the WNBA championship by the WNBA and the Foot Locker employees they have officiating their games. If you haven't seen it by now, I suggest you go over to Come On Now, the podcast right here. Check out what I just dropped on that game and breaking down all the calls that were wrong or not called. Understand this. That is a non-monetizable video. But I still had to do it because I wanted people to truly see just how atrocious the officiating was. So if you haven't seen that video yet, I just dropped it like 20 minutes ago. It's on Come On Now, the podcast. If you haven't subscribed there yet, go subscribe over there and go check out that video as I break down 30 fouls that I thought went uncalled in that game. And I left some out because I thought they were a bit of a reach. But there was a good 30. And if you say that it wasn't 30, I would bet you think that there were 20 fouls that were missed in that game after you watch what I put out there for you, detailing it, breaking it down, showing you where the foul is. So go check it out. But at the same time, be sure to subscribe here to our Rudy's Rant channel. And I thank you for your continued support of this new channel. We are getting closer to 200 subscribers. So come on and subscribe, jump on board, get us to 1,000 so we can make this a monetizable channel too. Appreciate you, man. Love you. Let's talk about this First Take video. Jump in and just give you a little start on it. You got Chiney, Ogwumike, you got Shannon, Sharpe, you got Stephen A. Smith. They're all giving their opinions, and I will respond to each of them. The most egregious one to me is Stephen A. I think he's out of his damn mind because he's stuck in this New York state of mind where he's saying the Liberty brought a championship. Man, you don't even care. Stop it. You didn't even go to the game. You made a bunch of excuses as to why you didn't go to the game. You know how you could have gone to the game, Stephen A? Buy a freaking ticket. Oh, my God. The idea of buying a ticket. Yeah. You want to watch it that bad? Buy a ticket. The same way you spent $2,000 and you told us all about how much money you spent on your child going to see Taylor Swift with her friends and how much you spent there. Buy a ticket. You could have bought a ticket, I'm sure, for a couple $1,000s and sat courtside. But you didn't because you don't actually care. You care about the Yankees. I know you kind of do, but you don't know that Soto hits in front of Judge. But let's jump in on this video. I'm not going to keep talking right now. Boom. Boom.
That was for you. Late night, early morning. Great to have you in the building, Chiney, as always. Tell me this. Do you feel like the refs cost Minnesota the championship?
Look, Cheryl Reeve absolutely has a right to be mad based off of not only that call, but the officiating of the game. And when we dissect that call, when we were watching from Barclays, we're like, we see the arms come down. Maybe that on first glance looks like a foul. But then upon review, the word she said was right. It was marginal contact to me. And when you have a game of this magnitude after a tremendous season and an iconic series, for it to sort of come down with the momentum shifter being this, that's a tough pill to swallow. I don't think that was a foul. I think the opportunity should have gone to a jump ball, let the players dictate it. That to me is how every championship should be. But to say that this cost them a championship overall, to me, I think that's a little bit of not what the game was. Because
bullshit. See, this is what I don't like. She spent the entire time telling you why they got screwed and then told you they didn't get screwed. So she went from the beginning of the game and said that they got screwed the entirety of the game. How the game was officiated. She watched the game. She was there. She knows the calls that got missed. She's seen replays of the calls that got missed. She knows how many times Nafisa Collier got fouled shooting at least twice and how many times she got fouled without the ball. Countless. Okay? So she runs this whole story to tell you why they got screwed. And then at the end says, well, it's not really why they lost. Well, yeah, the hell it is. If they don't call a foul on that shot, when the shot goes up, then we have a scramble for a rebound. We don't know who would have grabbed that rebound. The closest person to the rebound was a Minnesota Lynx player, Courtney Williams. She was the closest to the rebound. That was a brick, okay? It was a brick. If Courtney Williams grabs that rebound, she's going to get fouled and she's going to shoot 2 free throws, and the Minnesota Lynx are probably going to win the game by 4 points. It's probably what's going to happen because there would have been 4 seconds to go, something like that. And you're going to sit here and say it's pushing it a little bit too far. No, it's not. And what bothers me is that she's so paid for play here, Chiney, Ogwumike, and all these people, they're so robotic in nature. They'll never call it out. And they'll never sit here and say, they got absolutely fucked by the WNBA and the officials. And they lost the championship because of the officials. They won't do it. She won't do it. She gave you all of that to get to, well, you know, let's go a little far. You just said the officiating was terrible the entirety of the game. But hey, what do I know?
Because if you think about it, what cost them the championship was the fact that other than Nafisa Collier and Kayla McBride, who combined for 43 points, no one else really showed up for the Minnesota Lynx. I think the next leading scorer after those two had 6 points. What won New York the championship was the effort of Niara Sabally, who came in literally not on the.
See, now she's doing a circle. She's doing that thing. She's circling around the truth. The Minnesota Lynx lost because of a bullshit call at the end of the game. In fact, 2 bullshit calls, because if you call traveling, then we don't even have that shot. We have an inbound for Minnesota. They get fouled, shoot free throws, go up 4, and then we see what happens. Probably the Liberty lose the game, right? You would agree. I'm sure you would agree with that. So they missed 2 calls on 1 play. The foul call should never even happen because the traveling call should have been made immediately when she took 5 steps. You're sitting here saying that the Lynx didn't win because no one else showed up. Well, I would tell you this: Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionesco didn't show up. So yes, I will grant you the reason the Liberty won the game was because they had a bench performer who came out of nowhere, who didn't play most of the time, and all of a sudden became a very impactful player. They also had Jonquel Jones get away with foul after foul after foul after foul after foul and not get called while she's getting layups. So they got 2 performers right there. And then they got Phoebich, who played very, very well. In fact, their 3 best players last night were not Breanna Stewart or Sabrina Ionescu. Sabrina Ionescu had 5 points. So don't tell me about the other players on the Lynx. The second best player for the Liberty had 5. The best player, what'd she have? 12 on 4 of 15 shooting? 14? Something like that? She was terrible. She was terrible. Other players don't get 15 shots. So you need them to hit the shots that they take. And if you want to be completely genuine about the conversation at hand, go look at the numbers. The numbers are the numbers. If you want to be genuine about it, let's look at how many shots they actually took. Bridget Carlton, yeah, she sucked. 1 for 6, 3 points. Alana Smith, 2 for 6, 6 points. Courtney Williams was horrible. Heidemann came off the bench and was 3 for 6. She had 6 points. You're looking at 3 players who took 6 shots, and then 2 other players took 1 shot. The problem that you had was Courtney Williams. Courtney Williams sucked. That was the problem. She was the 3rd scorer. But if you want to go look at the Liberty got Jonquel Jones 5 of 10, Phoebich 4 of 11. Sabrina shoots 19 shots, 1 of 19. Stewart 4 of 15. There are 2 other players here who took double-digit shots, and Sabally was getting layups. She was 5 of 7. Her shots were mostly all layups. They got fucked, Chiney, and you know it. You know they got fucked, and you don't want to admit it because you're paid to not admit it.
The game plan, dropped 13 points, made so many hustle plays, including Kayla Thornton, who played tremendous defense. That is what dictated the game. The second half was the New York Liberty's defense, not necessarily that.
Thornton's a foul machine. She got away with fouling the whole time out there. She's a foul machine. Tremendous defense. My ass.
One call. But one thing I will say is this. In the finals, there's going to be controversies, right? We saw after game 3, there was chess moves being made. Both coaches called out the refs. The one thing that does not sit well with me other than this call is the fact that the foul discrepancy was 25 free throws to 8. Nafisa Collier, who was second in MVP voting, had zero free throws. She shot the ball 23 times. Stewie
18 attempts.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Stewie, I mean, I think she was 4 for 15 and had 8 free throws.
Yeah.
The fact that one of your best players does not go to the free throw line, the fact that the disparity in the officiating was that extreme, that did not help. But what I will say is this, when you are the #1 overall seed, you get home court.
Yeah.
And when you get home court, you get the energy, you get the momentum. And that was one of those moments where it's like, it doesn't sit well with me, but we know the game. Real ones know is dictated by the play of the bench and not necessarily the play.
That's not what she wanted to say. Real ones, see, she's slick. Chiney, you're slick. And I know what you were going to say. Real one. So she went to this whole monologue about how when you're the #1 seed, you get the energy, you get this, you get that. And then she goes into real ones know. Real ones know what, Chiney? It wasn't that the bench is why. Real ones know that this game was rigged. Real ones know that the WNBA ensured the Liberty won in New York. That's what real ones know. And that's what you wanted to say. But you kind of shifted yourself to saying this absolutely ridiculous nonsense about real ones know that what? That the bench is what?
Play of the stars.
That's a no call.
Yeah, let's go back.
Court, you get the energy, you get the momentum, and that was one of those moments where it's like, it doesn't sit well with me, but we know the game. Real ones know is dictated by the play of the bench and not necessarily the play of the stars.
That's a no call. She beat her to the spot. She went up vertical. She did not touch her, and they called a foul. They're dictating because there's only 5.2 seconds on the clock, and you're down 2. If that's a no call, now we don't know. Maybe they get the loose. Maybe if you jump ball, but I knew once they went to reveal. I was Ash was over at that time, Stephen A. I looked at Ash. I said, "You actually think they're gonna overturn this call in New York with them down 2 points?" Now maybe if it's a tie ball game, they're gonna say, "Okay, we'll go to overtime." But ain't no way in hell they were gonna overturn that call. I thought it was a poorly officiated game. It was too much. It was too many fouls. It was too much stoppage. Let them play. This is game 7. Game 5.
Let me stop him right there. You saw when Stephen A. rolled his eyes when Shannon said that. Stephen A. really wants to come across like he's some New York Liberty fan. Like he really wants to come across that way. He's not. Everything that he does is fake. It's all for show. It's all for show. That's why for 2 weeks you saw nothing on WNBA basketball. You saw nothing. I can confirm it. I watched every first take because I wanted to see. After game 1, they showed nothing on first take. Game 2, they showed nothing on. When was game 3? Game 3 was, so yesterday was Sunday, so it was Friday, so it was Wednesday. After game 2, first take was Tuesday. They had no highlights from game 2, none. They just showed at the end of first take, an hour and 57 minutes in, a commercial for the game being on Wednesday night. Wednesday, nothing for the WNBA until the final 2 minutes, the commercial again. WNBA Finals tonight. Thursday, nothing again. Okay, Thursday, that was the shot that Sabrina hit. Even that day, they showed nothing of that game. Friday, obviously, is the day of the game. Again, there was nothing but a quick little 2-minute, not even commercial again. Now, obviously, Saturday there's no first take. Sunday there's no first take. But for the duration of the finals, there was almost no coverage of the WNBA Finals on this show. Stephen A. Smith, after that Monica McNutt disaster debacle, he's had it. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about the Liberty. He couldn't care less about the WNBA. This is only happening because the New York Liberty happened to win. Because if the Liberty lost, this would not be a story. This probably would be a 1-minute excerpt, not a 16-minute segment. But for the entirety of the finals, they had no segments about the WNBA Finals on First Take. I can't speak for the semis because I didn't watch First Take, but I wanted to check specifically for this. They had nothing on it. But now they have it, and he's rolling his eyes. I know why he's rolling his eyes, because he has to look like he cares. But Shannon Sharpe is telling the truth. He's the one. She went up vertically. She didn't touch her. It's no foul. They called a foul where there was no foul. Like it wasn't even close to being a foul.
5, you couldn't ask for anything more than what you got. The game, with the exception of game 2, every game was a 1-possession game. You had already gone to overtime, and you get 2 overtime games in this series. I just felt that the officials had too much of an impact on this game. I do not believe that was a foul call, and I agree with Coach Reeves. The officials had too much say in this ball game. Whether or not it dictated, but when you shoot 25 free throws and the other team shoots 8, you go 21 of 25, they go 7 of 8. That's too big of a discrepancy.
See, I disagree with that also. See, I don't like that. I am one who doesn't subscribe to that shit about the teams have to shoot even free throw numbers. That's not how it works. It's not how it works at all. Because I've seen plenty of games in which teams shoot much more free throws than the other, many more free throws than the other, and it's explainable. It's completely explained. You can explain it. You can look at the stat box. Did you watch the game? See, a lot of times people look at stat boxes and say, well, they shot way more free throws than them, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, did you see the game? Did you look at how many shots were taken from the perimeter? If you didn't look at that and you didn't see that of the 85 shots that were taken in XYZ game, Team A shot 45 threes and only 42s, and Team B shot 25 threes and 62s. You have one team that was far more aggressive to the basket because mid-range game in the NBA today doesn't exist. Mid-range game in the NBA is not existent anymore. So what you have is you have threes or dunks, threes or layups, threes or you're in the paint. You don't see threes and 18-footers. There's only a handful of players that take mid-range jump shots in the NBA anymore. So when you look at it from a perspective of it can be explained. I watched this game. I don't care about the fact that that's too big of a discrepancy. It's too big of a discrepancy because I watched the game and I watched the absolute ridiculous did not call fouls on the Liberty. That's what I saw. I'm not looking at a stat box. And if you look at the stat box, it's even more difficult to explain how a team that took more 2s, less 3s, shot 17 less free throws. See, that's where it becomes hard to explain, where one team shot 17 less free throws than the other, despite the fact they took more 2-point shots, lived in the fucking paint, and took less 3s. Nafisa Collier took 18 shots inside the paint. 18. And yes, she has a tendency to fade away, to avoid contact. I counted personally at least 4 times that I thought she got fouled shooting. 2 that were clear as day, and 2 that I thought she should have gotten. Two of them were she probably could have gotten and ones. I saw another foul on Jonquel Jones where she flat grabbed Kayla McBride's arm going to the basket. And 1, no call. Alana Smith driving to the basket gets flat out hacked by Naira Sabali. No foul. That's 2 free throws. These are shooting fouls we're talking about now. not on the floor fouls. If you count all the on the floor fouls, I've got at least 6 shooting fouls that did not get called on the Liberty on plays around the basket. Hell, there was a 7th where McBride drives to the rim and Sabali's pushing her. You can see the push, lower back, pushing her while she's shooting the ball, and she flies out of bounds and misses the layup. That's between 12 and 14 free throws in those 7 plays. That's where the discrepancy lies, is if you watch the game, you saw Minnesota get hammered and not get calls. And you saw the Liberty get a breath of air on them and get calls.
A game of this magnitude. And like you said, Chiney, Collier was the second best player in the WNBA this year. But if you go back and look at the Liberty, it was their role players.
Yep.
Because Ionescu was 1 of 19 from the floor. Stewie shot a terrible percentage from the floor. It was the others that won them the ball game.
15.
But the free throw discrepancy had played a big role.
Stephen A.
Well, cry me a river. Let me tell y'all something right now, okay?
There you go.
It's
Okay.
not wrong. That was not. You listen up, Shay. You listen up to me right now, okay? She was absolutely right. That was not a foul. LeBron James was absolutely right. That was not a foul. I'm not disputing the veracity of her statement. I'm simply saying I don't give a damn. We don't want to hear this again. This is not the first time that Coach Reeve has done this. I'm speaking to Janae Ogwumike, her sister in 2016. Shot clock violation. Excuse me. Coach Reeve complained about that then. She said it cost them a championship then. Well, guess what? When's it not going to cost you? You don't know what you're facing against. You see the Barclays Center? You see how packed that was? Maybe if y'all had handled your business in Minnesota in Game 3, it wouldn't have been the Game 5 for you to be in that position.
That's utterly fucking stupid. Maybe if you handled your business in Game 3 in Minnesota, there wouldn't have been a Game 5. That's just absolutely fucking retarded. Okay, that's a bad word to use. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. One game has absolutely nothing to do with the other. He's basically telling you that they got home cooking, and he doesn't care because you should have won in Minnesota. What? Newsflash, Stephen A. Newsflash. Because I know you don't actually watch any of this shit. And that's what makes it so hilarious. Is you have people that this is why you shouldn't talk about shit you don't know about. In Minnesota, the Liberty shot 14 free throws and the Lynx shot 12. In Minnesota, the Lynx got called for 18 fouls. The Liberty got called for 13 fouls. So tell me again, the only reason that the Lynx were winning that game at halftime, in large part, was because of turnovers. Because in that game, that is when the Liberty committed 18 turnovers to 12 by the Lynx and basically gift wrapped the game to the Liberty because they couldn't make a damn layup. And while the Liberty were turning the ball over left and right. I haven't done a deep dive in terms of all the fouls that got missed, but the Liberty got the benefit of the calls in Minnesota too. So what are you talking about? The Liberty got the calls in Minnesota in Game 3. The only game. Was there one game that the Lynx had less fouls called on them than the Liberty? I'm just curious. I'm going through it real fast. Game 1, no. Game 2, it was even. Shockingly. Game 3, it was 18-13 in fouls on the Lynx. Game 4, I mean, that was the one game where, Brondello complained. So game 4, it was 14-9 Liberty on foul. So they let them play like for real in that game. But then you had yesterday's game where the count was 14-5 with a minute to go in the third quarter. So for the most part, they got the gift of the calls. So hey, whatever you say, buddy.
Position. You're a champion, 3-time Super Bowl champion, Hall of Famer. You know what hostile environments look like. You know that you're going up against the Army. By the way, the WNBA officiating, it's been an issue for years. There have been numerous complaints from a bevy of individuals about the quality of the officiating in the WNBA. It didn't stop you from having one of the best records in the sport. It didn't stop.
But what does that have to do with this? It says, see, he's in a circle. It's got nothing to do. Having one of the best records in the sport has nothing to do with the WNBA Finals. Them beating the Atlanta Dream or the Chicago Sky or the Dallas Wings or the Los Angeles Sparks or the Washington Mystics or the Indiana Fever or the Seattle Storm, or whoever, has nothing to do with the WNBA Finals. The Minnesota Lynx have a damn good team. That's why they're in the WNBA Finals. What the hell are you talking about? They were 30-10. Yes, they're good. When you're good, you're good. The Liberty is good. What you don't want to have happen in a deciding game for a championship is officials putting their stamp of approval on who wins the game. And that's what happened. The officials dictated who won the game. Because the team that shot 37%, while they didn't shoot that damn well, they didn't shoot 30%. While they had some performers that didn't perform very well, they didn't have one that went 1 for 19. What are you talking about?
Stop you from getting to the WNBA Finals. So why all of a sudden did it cost you a championship? You got to understand what the ops.
Why did it cost you a championship? Because they called a foul that wasn't a foul with 5 seconds to go. And they missed a travel that happened a second before that on the same fucking play, you twat. Are you stupid? I know you're not stupid. That's what pisses me off. I know you're not stupid, Stephen A. So don't answer like you're stupid. Why? You saw why. You saw why. A clear mistravel, a clear no foul. And then they fucking botch it some more and don't review it. I'm sorry, and don't overturn it to force a jump ball. What? Why? You saw why. That's some bullshit. See, that's why I have a problem with answers like that. You know damn well why, but you work for ESPN, so you, God forbid, you actually. That's like the only one that has the sack of balls to say something is Shannon Sharpe, because he don't give a damn about that job. He's making hand over fist doing Club Shay Shay. And nightcap, whatever it is.
Obstacles are in every particular situation, and champions know how to answer the call. The Minnesota Lynx is a damn good team. Collier is big time. 18 shots in the paint and not one free throw attempt from it. Yeah. Very egregious.
See, now you're going another direction. The Lynx are a very good team. Champions answer the call. They answered the call. They had a goddamn lead in New York. The Liberty had 58 fucking points with 5 seconds to go in the game. A team that averages in the mid-80s. They had 58 points. They answered the call. Their second best player was 1 for 19. They answered the call. You're sitting here literally telling us Collier had 18 shots in the paint and didn't shoot one single free throw. And you goddamn well know she got fouled multiple times shooting the ball. It's on video. It's on camera. You can see it. And they didn't call it. Don't sit here and tell me the champions answer the call. Then Sabrina Ionescu didn't answer any call. And neither did Breanna Stewart, because Breanna Stewart sucked. She was 4 of 15. She missed 2 free throws with 38 seconds left and then got another chance. And then she choked there too, and they gave her a gift. She choked there twice, in fact. She choked 3 times, and they kept giving her gifts. So the champion, the team that won it, their 2 best players did not answer the call.
I get all of that. But far from surprising, if you notice the history of bad officiating and you combine that with the fact that you're in a hostile environment, the Barclays Center, erupted. I ain't seen it like that since Kevin Durant was in the conference semifinals going up against Giannis, and his toe was too damn big for that 3-pointer, and that's why it was a 2-point shot. I ain't seen the Barclays Center rocking like that since that time. It was absolutely sensational last night. That's the environment you walked into. You got to know how to answer the call. And Coach Reeve, respectfully, you did it. That's the bottom line. There was a bad call. There was no foul. Right. But damn it, you shouldn't have been in that situation. You should have won your game in Minnesota.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Oh, God. This man just said you shouldn't have been in that situation. They had the lead. They held one of the top scoring teams in the game to 58 points for 39 minutes and 55 seconds. You show how little you know about this game when you speak, and it's embarrassing. They had the lead, but they had the lead through 39 minutes and 55 seconds. They answered the call. They trailed going into the fourth, trailed with 2 minutes and change to go, took the lead in the final seconds, and multiple gifted calls is why they didn't answer the bell or answer the call. Because they didn't win in Minnesota, where they were getting fucked there too in game 3. Please. I can show you a play from Minnesota if you want to see it, Stephen A. With 3:45 left, where Nafisa Collier is going up for a shot, getting fouled here, and they got fouled here on the same play with 3:45 left in a game that ended up being decided by a 3-point shot at the buzzer, which we all know, folks, it might go down in history as a great win and a great shot. There's no pressure on a 77-77 game, making or missing. The pressure does not exist on that shot, which is why she had no problem taking a 28-footer when you should be going to the basket. Because if that game was, if they were trailing by 2, I promise you that is not the shot that Sabrina Ionescu takes. In fact, she probably doesn't take the shot. The ball ends up in Stewart's hands to go to the basket. Some bullshit, bro. This is some bullshit.
Stephen A., why'd you have to laugh at my pain, my family's pain? They finally got a championship back in 2016, the year my sister was an MVP, and we had to go back to be like, oh, there was actually in that series, I think, a Simone Augustus backcourt violation that could have been called.
I don't care about this shit now.
They don't. That's New York.
Speaking of which,
New York Stadium.
Stephen A.,
you got a championship in New York.
Speaking of which, I was really looking forward to today being in studio with you.
Who cares? Let me see if I can find something here.
I'm booking those keys out for a while.
I'm certainly not the great Robin Roberts. I tried to be there.
I tried. We didn't buy a ticket.
Can I say,
Go ahead.
I say this, guys? This is what Mike used to tell us, Stephen A., when you mentioned a hostile environment. And even when we were at home, he said, guys, let's not let a call or a play at the end of the game dictate the outcome. Let's go ahead and put this team away. So therefore, if we get a bad call, we don't have to worry about it. If they make a play at the end, we don't have to worry about it. And I agree with you.
If they didn't make a play at the end, then they what? If they make a play at the end, we don't have to worry about it. What does that even mean? It means nothing because if you didn't have to worry about it, then they didn't really make a play, John, did they? The play was irrelevant because you didn't have to worry about it. So they didn't make a play. You let them make that play because you were probably playing a prevent defense or some shit like that. This is so stupid. I mean, don't let the officials dictate the game. This is the corniest crap on earth to me. It's their job to officiate games properly, and they don't do it. And this is just a bunch of excuse making for why this happened.
Because what happened is that you had this lead and you let them hang around.
Yep.
Now, maybe the officials blowing the whistle had something to do with that, but you let them hang around. And then when they got momentum in the third quarter and they outscored you.
Shannon, they hung around because the officials started calling every foul on Minnesota. That's why they hung around. I just did this. 16 missed fouls on the Liberty. 16. That should have been called on the Liberty in the first half. First half. 16 missed fouls. Do not tell me you shouldn't have let them hang around. They hung around because the WNBA wanted them to hang around. The officials were given an edict and a directive. You figure out a way to keep these women in the game. The shit's rigged. Shit's rigged. To have them win with a 1 for 19 and a 4 for 15 from their two best players, a 5 of 34, and win. Imagine the Bulls winning with Michael Jordan going 1 for 19 and Scottie Pippen going 4 for 15, 5 of 34. I would bet you every dollar to my name that the Bulls would have gotten beaten by 30. By 30. Sorry, but Ron Harper wouldn't have carried them with 35. Tony Kukoc wouldn't have had 35. Sorry. Dennis Rodman would have had 20. Sorry. They were kept in the game by the officials. Stop sitting here saying let them stick around. They didn't want to let them stick around. They're up 12. They were cruising. And then the fouls started really coming. The fouls started coming and ignored the other direction. There were fouls in that first half that were shooting fouls that did not get called, that would have given free throws, that lead, instead of 12, could have been 18 or 20. But it wasn't because they weren't calling it but one way.
20-10, if I'm not mistaken, they got themselves back into the ball game. And that's what I would tell anybody. Do not let a call or a play at the end of the game. Take care of your business beforehand, and then you won't find yourself in this situation.
Talking about the aces all year.
Look, this was a historic season for the WNBA, and when you look back at the end of it, this was the best team, and they had.
All right, I don't care about the rest of this shit. I don't care about if the season was historic. I'm not even gonna listen to this nonsense because the season was historic because of Caitlin Clark. The rest of that shit can go to hell. Season was historic because of Caitlin Clark. Fact of the matter is, this entire league matters because of Caitlin Clark, and you were watching, and Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith were watching this because of Caitlin Clark. Otherwise, they wouldn't have watched this. This wouldn't have been on First Take at all during the year. Nobody would have cared, and we all know this. In fact, the people that did watch this, I don't know if the ratings came out yet. I don't know if they're out yet or not. Let me see real quick. Ratings WNBA Game 5. Game 4, Game 5. I don't have. They don't have ratings that are out here yet that I see. I presume probably tomorrow. Yeah, probably be out tomorrow. But Caitlin Clark is why this game mattered. Caitlin Clark is why people were watching it. Caitlin Clark is why I watched it, because I can tell you right now, I didn't watch one singular game of the WNBA Finals last year. So if you want to keep that same reality, I did not watch one single I didn't watch one single WNBA game last season. So I damn sure didn't watch any games in the finals or the playoffs. Didn't even know when they were. Didn't even know when they were happening. I saw who won. Didn't watch it. Millions didn't watch it who were watching this year. So you want to have a historic nature of the season and all that stuff? It's only historic because of Caitlin Clark, and we'll see how it continues next season. But I can tell you right now, the officiating in that game turns people off. It turns people off. It makes them not want to watch. Because if you can watch that game and walk around and sit here and say that that was fair, just, or right, you're crazy. I don't want to hear Sandy Brandella talking about things being fair in game 4 and then watching game 5 and her saying that that was fair. She's a hypocrite and she's a fraud. She's full of shit. While she's telling her players in the huddle before the game at the end of regulation to embellish any fouls, to make them look like fouls, even if they're not fouls, and then ESPN magically turns off her mic. You can't hear it anymore. They turn off the sound. It doesn't look good having your coach basically say flop. Your coach telling you to flop. That's not a good look for your league. It's not. The game was bad. The quality was bad. The result was bad because it wasn't an earned result. It was a gifted result. And everyone who watched that shit knows it. People in New York can live their dream and live their lie. And these people on ESPN can live this lie. They know what happened. They know what happened. And they don't want to say it publicly because they have deals with the WNBA and all that stuff and whatever else. But that was a rigged job. That was a robbery. It was a stolen championship from a team. And I go out of my way to give referees the benefit of the doubt. And for the most part, I almost never blame officials for anything involving sports because there's so many plays in the game. And even on this one, Nafisa Collier makes a layup and doesn't miss that layup right in the final 7 seconds. We're not having this conversation. But at the same time, I shouldn't have to freaking look back on plays that they didn't make for an official to not, first of all, to make that call extremely late because his hand went up when the ball was coming down. So you didn't really call it because the other 2 referees didn't call it. You called it because something told you to call it. And I'm sure that's what happened. You were told to make sure that this game gets extended. But beyond that, then you have a chance to look at it on replay. And it's so obvious on replay that this wasn't a foul. And yet you made up something new like defensive position. She was an illegal defensive position. When every replay shows you that looked like pretty solid defensive position, hands up in the air, straight, not moving, and the person who smashes into her is Stewart, which could have arguably been called a charge. And then she doesn't actually touch her on body or on hand with hands, and Stewart just throws up a massive brick. You had a chance to reverse it, and you didn't. I have no respect for this league. This league is bullshit. And yeah, I look forward to watching Caitlin Clark next year, and I hope she comes in next year and absolutely annihilates these people and holds a trophy up at the end of the season. Will that be done with Christy Sides coaching? I don't think that would happen with Christy Sides coaching. They better make that decision real soon. But as a league, I won't watch other games. I have no interest in watching this shit other than Caitlin Clark. She's the only player that I find good. She's the only player that is exciting, the only player that I want to watch. Nafisa Collier, I think, is a good player. She's a good player. Is she a great player? No. I don't grade on a curve. I don't grade. There's something that Ben Daniel talks about, a WNBA curve. And he's right. They talk about they grade these players on a curve. There's no curve. You're either good or you're not. 4 for 15 is not good. 5 of 21 is not good. 1 for 19 is not good. And I will tell you this, Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionesco over 5 games were absolutely horrendous. And the fact that they won this series is because of the officials. They were horrendous for 5 games. 4 of the 5, each of them was bad. And if Caitlin Clark went 24 of 81 over 5 games, the people who hate Caitlin Clark would be having a parade right now. Yeah, I'm going there because you guys compare Sabrina to Caitlin Clark. There's no comparison. There isn't a 5-game stretch that you can find from Caitlin Clark this year where she was 24 of 81. Nor was there a 5-game stretch where she was 32 of 96, which is what Breanna Stewart was. There's no stretch of 5 games in which Caitlin Clark first took 96 shots or 81 shots and was 24 of 81. In fact, you look right now at Caitlin Clark when she really turned it on in the second half of the season, and I can bet you that she had 84 shots over 5 games. But you know what she didn't have was 24 makes. I'm going to go right to the end because that's when she started shooting the ball more. So over a 5-game stretch against Minnesota, Atlanta, Vegas, and Dallas, she shot 40, 62, 79, 100 shots. 15, 28, 38. She was 38 for 100. That wasn't great. It was better than what I just saw. And on top of that, of those 100, 13, 23, 33, 41, 55 of those shots were threes. So 55 of those 100 shots were threes. And the 9, 10, 18 of 55 from 3. So she was 20 of 45 from 2. And there's other 5-game stretches I can look at. Here's another stretch. A better, I'll call it a better, it was a better stretch. You got more right here. 14, 31, 45, 64, 81. Okay, 81 shots on the dot. In that 5-game stretch, she was 18, 26, 33, 39, 18, 26, 33, 39 for 81. What is that from the field? 39 of 81? 39 of 81. What is that? That is like damn near 50%. 39, that is 48.1% from the field. And in that 5-game stretch, that was the 5-game stretch right before the first one I mentioned. She shot 10, 21, 30, 42, 51 threes. So 51 of her 81 shots were threes, and she was 7, 12, 17. Let me see here. That's 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 10, 21, 30, 42, 51. 7, 12, 17, 21. She was 21 of 51 from 3. And she was 18 of 30 from 2. Sabrina Ionescu is not on her level. It's not on her level. And the first half of the season, there wasn't a 5-game stretch where she took 81 shots. Not one stretch. 15, 8, 17, 11, 16, 14, 8, 16, 17, 11, 10, 15, 8, 11, 11, 12, 12, 11, 9. That's the first half. And even then, the closest thing you have is 16, 17, has 33, 44, 54, 69. That's the closest. And in that stretch, she was 9. That's when she had the worst game she had all year, 1 for 10 against the Liberty. They lost by 36 points. 9, 13, 19, 26. 26 for 69. 26 for 69 is still way better than 24 of 81. 26 by 69, that's still 37.6%, which isn't great, but it damn sure ain't 17% that Ionescu shot for this 5-game stretch. She shot 17% for 5 games. 17%. Let me know your thoughts on this video, my reaction, what they had to say on First Take. I'd love to hear your comments, your thoughts, your feedback. Remember, hit that like button, subscribe, pound that, hit that bell. And also go on over to Come On Now, the podcast, and subscribe over there. Come check out that video I did on the breakdown of the game. Let me know your comments, man. Appreciate y'all. Have a good one. This is Rudy's Rant. Take it easy.